Hey, this is Rebecca, and you are listening to Resilient by Design. Okay, guys, today's episode is really juicy. I know I say that a lot, but this guest goes really deep into the psychology of success. We talk about sales. I'm not going to give it away. You got to listen right towards the very end, but she kind of coaches me on making a big decision that I've been putting off in my own life. And she really, I'm not going to say it. You're going to have to listen. Really awesome interview with Amira Alvarez. She's the founder and CEO of Unstoppable Woman. Good name, right? It's a global coaching company that helps entrepreneurs and rising stars achieve their goals and dreams faster. And she talks about the idea of the quantum leap and how you can increase your revenue and make more money. And it only takes 3 different ways. I mean, we talk about so much. I have like a million notes. We talk about the terror barrier, which is what's holding you back from making a decision to go towards what you desire and the life that you want. Really insightful conversation about a parent and how we were parented and how it has affected our self-worth. And then I sort of talk about my own children and how wow, I need to be a lot more aware of how I react. Just a very insightful conversation, guys. Enjoy. All right. I'm Rebecca Hay, and I've built a successful interior design business by trial and error, podcasts, online courses, and so many freaking books. Over the last decade, I've grown from an insecure student to having false starts to careers, and now I'm finally in the place where I want to be. Throughout my journey, it's been pretty obvious that I'm passionate about business and helping other entrepreneurs do the same. Each week, I'll share tangible takeaways from my own experience and the experiences of other badass women to help you build your confidence and change your business.
Are you as tired as I am working in a bubble? I mean, shoot. It's time to maybe socially distance with other people. That is why I love coming to the Collective Workspace. If you are someone who is looking for a little bit of stimulation, a lot of beauty, the Collective Workspace is a really great place to go. It is a co-working space for designers, architects, and builders in Toronto, and they're opening a second location this spring. They have flex workspace and offices starting at $120 a month. There's boardrooms, a podcast booth, which is where I am right now, concierge storage, and a trade-only design library. You can find out more, or if you want to book a tour, go to thecollectiveto.com. Okay, welcome, Amira, to the podcast.
Super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you on the podcast because you offer some really unique insight into being an entrepreneur. And I'm really excited for designers to have a little break from hearing other designers. You know, it's kind of nice to hear from other people. And I feel like most of the best nuggets of wisdom I have learned from my design business has not come from another designer. So with that, why don't you just do a little introduction to everyone? Let them know who you are.
Sure, would love to. And then I'm going to talk about why that is, okay? Because it's really interesting.
Is it like a thing?
I think, I'll do my introduction
hold on.
in a moment.
Sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves. Okay.
So I think it's because the tactical skills of design are like 20% of what it takes to have a successful business. You're already good at that to a certain degree. This is what you've been trained in. This is your natural talent. You can always better your best. You can always up your game. You can always learn from your colleagues. But the things that are stopping you are not those things. The things that are stopping you or getting in your way from scaling or growing your business, your life, whatever you're working on achieving, are things that you're not necessarily great at already. And so it comes from a different angle, a different direction. Okay.
Totally. Okay. We're going to dive into that way more. Yes, I'm excited. Okay. First of all, who are you? Tell everyone who you are.
Yes. Thank you. So my name is Amira Alvarez, And I am the founder and the CEO of a company called The Unstoppable Woman. We help women entrepreneurs, small business owners, people who are engaged in building something in their business. Now, we do have a handful of clients who are men behind the scenes and who are women in corporate, but the commonality is that they really have growth as their value statement, and they want to really live out their full potential in this world. They want to create greatness for themselves and through themselves for the world, and yet something is stopping them from executing on that and really living up to their potential. When we work with women in business, there are all these invisible barriers that keep them from really stepping into what they know is possible for themselves. They see it, in some ways they see it as possible for themselves, but they've been playing at the same level for a goodly amount of time, and they really want to get to the next level. So first, we work on that financial side of things. How do you break through financially? And then in the process of doing that, it's the breakthroughs in all aspects of your life, because freedom comes from financial freedom for sure, but also the mental, emotional freedom. So you don't feel trapped and limited in your life.
So, oh man, that's so true. It's so good. I say all the time, but I'm not like, I don't have all the knowledge, but I recognize that for women, I say this a lot on the podcast. I'm like, especially in the design industry, for women, there's so many things that are holding us back that we don't, like you say, they're invisible. Like we don't even realize they're holding us back. And then I see the very few men in our industry who that issue. We had in my course, I have online courses for designers, and there was one man who took my course back at the beginning of the year. And it was really great dialogue, because he would say, well, why don't you just tell them that they can't do that? Or why don't you just charge more money? Because to him, he had no barrier in doing the things that the rest of us were like, oh yeah, no, I totally get that. Like I would be uncomfortable too. And it's like this cultural conspiracy. Okay, I won't take it that far, but I'm excited to hear your take on all of this and your nuggets. This is going to be a really good episode, guys. Just saying.
I love it. I love it. And it has a direct impact. You know, your clients are women who want a design business, right? And men, people who want a design business. And it's a business. It's not a hobby, right? It's not a thing that they're just dabbling in. If they want a business, like they're taking your course to figure out how to create, you know, this as a livelihood, that requires getting good with money, right? Getting good with charging enough, asking for a sale, really being of value so you can receive the value, the compensation. And so often people have money stories and it gets in their way of really stepping forward. And fundamentally it's yes, it is how women are culturally raised, but a lot of men have this story too. But then it, you know, even if we put that to the side, it's really understanding where compensation comes from and how to increase it. And there's a whole methodology for that. I want to talk to you a little bit right off the bat about the law of compensation, because the law of compensation says you'll be compensated according to the need for what you do, your ability to do it, and the difficulty in replacing you. So is there a need? Well, your client has some sort of need. Okay. Is it a big need for them or a small need for them? How important is it to them that this problem of not having an environment that is beautiful and conducive to their work or their livelihood or their living, you know, they're just experiencing life. How important is that to them? Okay. Some people don't value that. Some people value it quite a bit. So what kind of problem is in front of them? And then your ability to do it, well, that comes with experience. That's the technical know-how. You do need to know your craft and you need to know it well. That's part of how well you're compensated. And then the third part is the difficulty in replacing you. And that is self-ownership. That is like...
that's the harder one, I think, to kind of own and understand.
100%. The first two, you can help people understand the problem that they have and how it's impacting their lives. That's part of how I teach really high integrity sales, in authentic sales is like having a conversation about what's important to someone about getting this project done. And that, if you can conceive of it as a problem that needs to be solved with additional ramifications, right? Like, think about it. If it's causing strife in the family dynamic, right? That's a big problem that needs to be solved. You might be saving someone's marriage, right? You could be saving someone's sex life, right? You could be making them a better parent, helping them be a better parent because there's less like chaos
Things
in
are
there.
organized. They know where to find the school forms or what have you.
And it's beautiful,
Totally.
right? All of that.
Yeah.
And so but oftentimes people don't see those follow-on effects. So you have to help them through conversation understand how this may be affecting them. Then the skill set, you just have to better your best, keep training, keep doing the work. You'll get better and better. That's totally within your control. All of this is within your control. Then the third one is the hardest part. It's owning your value. It's owning your unique self-expression. And yet most people don't want to go out on a limb and say, this is who I am. And I have in the case of you and your audience, like a really clear design aesthetic, right? You might have a particular lane that you're in, but you're not fully owning it because you fear you're going to alienate clients and that you're not going to be available to everyone. And you can do all the things, but here's the thing. I'm going to pay Karl Lagerfeld a gazillion dollars to design my apartment because he's like, no nonsense, right? He's like, this is my design aesthetic. This is what I stand for. This is what it looks like. Okay. And he's clear. He owns it. And, he was a fashion designer and
he's
space
uber
designer.
famous. So I hope he designed your place. Your place looks lovely, by the way, from what I can see.
Thank you.
But we talk about this all the freaking time. This podcast, all I talk about is how you need to understand, like, what is, I call it like your unique differentiator. Like, what is it that is unique to you? Like, don't be a copycat of the other designer, because we, especially in the creative field, visual creative field, we all fall into this comparison trap. Social media, visually, like copying other designers' aesthetics, for example, or seeing the Kelly Wearstler and just say, I'm going to do the Kelly Wearstler thing. Or maybe it's a local designer, or, Rebecca Hayes doing it this way, so I'll do it that way. It's like, no, like, take a pause, like you're saying, and figure out what it is that what is that value that makes you irreplaceable. For me, like, on sustainability, and is something that I'm very passionate about. And we're trying to make it very clear that there are certainly unique ways and reasons to work with me. My design aesthetic, obviously, we have a very streamlined, buttoned down process that we follow, but also we really care about the environment, and we're going to do our best to make selections that are going to have a minimal impact. And so I'm hoping that those are the things that stand out. And I'm just going to be Rebecca on Instagram without high heels and no makeup. And if you don't like it, you don't have to hire me, right?
Yeah.
And then people get that personal connection. I just interviewed someone on a podcast, and she's like, how did you find me? Because I know her in Toronto in the industry. She's like, well, I found you on Instagram and I started following you. And, I love that you said you don't wear high heels. I'm like, that is such a random thing that I probably said once that really resonated, and it sort of stuck out to her that, like, that's who I'm about. So it's like, I think also, I'm like going on about this. I really love this concept, but it's about that being your authentic self, right?
Correct. Yeah.
You can't replace someone who's authentic.
You can't. And that doesn't mean that you can't look and see models of people and go, I love that. Can I bring that out in myself?
Yes.
Okay, that's different than copying. It's a statement of desire, and desire is causative. Desire causes you to grow into more. And if you see someone who you're like, wow, she's sexy, or she's beautiful, or she has something, stop and pause and think, what is it that woman has? And maybe it's not how she looks. Maybe it's the way she speaks, or her cadence of speaking, or how she holds herself, or how she moves, or what she's saying, or what she puts as important in the world and what she shares. And some things you look at and you go, oh, I want more of that. Some things you look at and you say, I want less of that. It's not a value judgment on yourself or on the other person, but you do want to start exploring who you truly are and the full expression of that. And one of the things that stops people oftentimes from the full expression of who they are is not having the money to execute on how they want to live their life. So let's pause here for a second. Money isn't everything. Okay. Before you start flipping out and being like, money isn't everything, it doesn't buy happiness. That is true. Not disagreeing with that. Okay. Money isn't here to buy happiness. It never was. It's not a tool for happiness. It's a tool for buying things. Okay. Things, not people, not, emotions, not experiences. Let me back up. You can buy people in terms of contractors, right? Service, like people
services.
pay, services.
Yeah.
So just a point of clarification there. But, if you don't have the money to do what you want in this world, whether it's growing your business, designing your house, dressing the way you want, like you won't be a full expression of who you are. And your business requires money to grow. You require money to grow. In our society, we need to pay rent, pay mortgage, buy groceries, go on. If we're at the level where we're traveling and we're not in a pandemic, there's all of that. There's life to be lived. And that is the full expression of who you are. And if you don't have the money to do it, you're going to be trapped. So you have to, it's this a little bit of a catch-22. Some people will say, I need the money to be a full expression of myself, which is true. Then you need to do a hard line in the sand and say, I am going to be a full expression of myself and let that call in the money. So both are true. Okay. It's not an either or.
I think, just to interject, I think this really resonates with designers. And I know, because this has been me in the past, and I know from all my design community that designers get so fixated, rightly so in some terms, that they want to attract a luxury client. How do you attract a luxury client? Well, you want to put yourself in their circles. You want to put yourself to show them that you have things in common, right? You want to look luxury too. It's like dressing the part. And so it can be frustrating, especially for designers who are just starting out, who have been in the business for a few years and are looking to up level, because they have the high-end expensive taste, but they can't get in front of those clients because they can't afford that really fancy purse that they want, or they want to go on that ski vacation. And I'm not saying that this is everybody, but I do think that especially in my industry, there is this desire to be the part, which I'm not saying is actually entirely wrong, to be completely honest with you. I think it depends on your clientele, because like attracts like. Right. And so, I mean, I definitely attract people who have a similar, design, styled, personality, like all those things, experiences that are shared. And so I think that it does feel like an obstacle for designers. If they haven't made it there yet, how do they get that money, right, to kind of up level? I think that's what you're saying.
So here's the thing. It's a yes and to that. So I make a good deal of money. Okay. Like my story is one of going from, $30K a year to $90K a year to making $138 a year. Like I was doing well and going, and then I quantum leaped and I started making $700K a year. Like I did that at $138 to $700 a year. Then I've crossed seven figures, and then we keep growing the company and it keeps going. And I have up leveled the entire way in terms of my personal lifestyle, what I purchase. And now on the other side of that, the people that I hire as experts in my field to help me design my home, to help me do anything, like we just did a closet redesign here, they're not necessarily making millions. That's not what I'm expecting. It's great, fabulous if you have that level of experience, but I am expecting someone who owns their capability, owns what they can do, does not diminish themselves. So you can have that level of self-expression and being uniquely yours and owning yourself without having made millions. Okay. Like you don't have to like buy the fancy clothes and show up that way. A certain level of professionalism, sure. But here's the thing. Rich people come in all shapes and sizes. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
I used
So
to live
true.
I used to live in California in the Bay Area, and the rich people wore biking shorts and Patagonia and Birkenstocks. Okay.
I love Can we just give Patagonia a little bit of love? Because when it comes to sustainability and the environment, they are like the top notch, super phenomenal. Guys, if you don't even know what Patagonia is, please go and Google them. You can return their product. Like they have a lifetime warranty. They recycle all their, like it's freaking phenomenal. Sorry, I had to give them a good plug. I love that.
That's okay. I love them too. But so the uber wealthy there are not looking for people in high heels. Okay. And they're not looking for you to be anyone that you're not, but they are looking for confidence and they are looking for expertise and they are looking for a level of professionalism and clear communication. So if you think you need the bag or the high heels to give you that confidence and professionalism, you're diminishing yourself. You don't actually need that. Now, if you want that and it feels really good, buy yourself that one pair of fabulous heels that you love or that one purse that you love and start with that and just like fully enjoy it. Okay. But don't let that be the thing that stops you from getting in front of these people. A sense of confidence in what you're doing is going to be more powerful than anything that you wear.
And I mean, I think a huge part of this is also self-image, right? It's how you view your own self that gives you confidence. And I know, like, I have designers in my community that have been doing this design thing way longer than I have. Like, they're in their 50s and 60s, and they still have a negative self-image, or they're still working on figuring out their identity. And I don't necessarily think that the money will solve any self-image or identity barriers that you might have to building that confidence. Because I think, especially for women, for me, I can speak from my own experience. I don't know about all women, but I think probably a lot of women can resonate. Confidence is something that I've always struggled with. And it's funny, like I say that out loud and people are like, what are you talking about? You're so confident. You're so outgoing. No, like I have always been insecure. I've always been struggled with that confidence. And I need to get little wins, or I need somebody else to tell me, like, these are all my own psychological shit that I'm not going to bore you guys with, but to be confident. And it's sometimes, you can buy all the fancy things you want, but that's not going to give you confidence, right?
No. So there's an inner and an outer game. Okay. So I will say, I just did a podcast recording that I don't know when we'll drop it in the next few weeks. That's on how I do branding photo shoots every time I hold an event. Okay. And my evolution with that, like when I started, what my approach was, where I was at, and we're going to post photos because it's an amazing evolution. Okay. But part of my process around that is that when you get your hair and makeup done, when you select your clothes, when you hire a good photographer, when the lighting is great, all of those things, you then get this talisman of what you look like. And you're like, yeah, that is an aspect of me. Do I roll out of bed looking like that? No, of course not. Okay. But that is a talisman for who I know myself to be. It gives you a physical representation of it. Another way of looking at the outer game is if I used to, when I made my Quantum Leap, one of the things that I did was I had to really start working on my own self-worth. And one of the things was I recognized that if it wasn't a client-facing day, I rolled out of bed in the sweats that I had slept in that were covered with dog hair, and I was still in them at 7 p.m. at night, haven't showered, haven't brushed my teeth, haven't changed my clothes, haven't really taken care of myself. And that was my self-image. Like it was okay to treat myself this way. So as I started to up my self-image on the outside, there's inner work too, which I'll get to in a moment. But the outer work was I actually have to spend a half an hour getting dressed in the morning, right? I have to go out on that run or do the thing that is going to make me feel good about myself, because otherwise the reflection that I see is of someone who I don't like what that looks like. Now, that doesn't mean that the way I get dressed is the way you get dressed. There's not a one size fits all. It can be t-shirt and cut off shorts, and you might feel fabulous in that, right?
By the way, I do feel fabulous in that, but not short shorts, because like I'm 40, so like longer shorts. But yes, I do feel fabulous in that.
Right. Like you feel sexy, you feel good, you feel yourself, right? So if you're able to do that for yourself, there's some power in that. And let's not deny that, but also let's not give it more credence than it needs to. Obviously, the whole marketing commercial industry is set up to get you to think you need this to feel good about yourself. I'm not making that argument. I'm saying find the things that actually make you feel good and do that, because you want to feel good about yourself when you have this outer look. Now, the inner game is much more important. Okay, so let's go there.
Yeah, that is where the change happens. That is where the confidence comes through. The front can help. It's like baby steps, I guess you could call it, right? Almost like a Band-Aid, but it's all about the inner work, for better or for worse. Okay, so let's go there. Help us out.
Absolutely. So just like doing a little crib sheet on this, okay? A little like psychology 101 here. We have a self-image. This is how we see ourselves. It's our identity. It's our beliefs about ourselves. Now, we have beliefs about ourselves, about the world, about other people. Okay. But the beliefs you hold about yourself are your self-image or your identity. And this gets formed when you are very young. Some say under the age of 7, some say under the age of 9 or 12, but roughly in early childhood.
Let's say the age of 12, because I have a 6-year-old boy, and I'm really hoping that that's not all we get.
Right. That you have some more time.
Years.
Yeah,
yes,
exactly. Yes. So what happens when you're young is that you don't have the ability. We have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. Your subconscious mind does not have the ability to reject anything that it experiences, and it's always taking in everything from the outside world. Your conscious mind has the ability to think rationally, make choices, accept or reject, decide whether it believes something or doesn't believe something. When you are young, that is not in place yet. You cannot reject. You cannot say, I don't believe that. You just receive. Now, the additional aspect of this is, let's say your son or you, when you were young, says, I want this piece of candy. And
that happens every day. I want this. I want that. And anyways, okay, here's how I'm screwing up. Can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
Oh boy.
So you get frustrated with that, right? You just started to like talk about it.
Yes. Mommy needs a break. Stop asking. I don't say that, but I'm thinking it.
Yeah. And he picks up on it. Okay.
Yeah.
He does. And sometimes you say things like, enough already, or whatever. Okay. Not always in our most resourceful place. We're not bad humans. We're doing the best with what we can, but we say no to our child. Now, here's the thing. Your children look at you as mommy God and daddy God. Okay. Because you are to them where all good comes from: love, safety, food, sustenance. Like really, life comes from you. Okay. And the way the child knows that they are safe and they are going to survive, that they are not going to die, your subconscious mind is very black and white, not going to die, is if the child can feel the love flowing. And if they don't feel the love flowing, if mommy or daddy gets irritated and it's like exasperated, like, come on already, right? Or whatever, or hurry up, let's go. We have to get to school, whatever it is, right? And you're frustrated and or they've actually done something that's dangerous. They run into the street and you like get angry. And in that moment, the child feels the love is shut off, whether you intentionally meant to shut off the love or that was just a automatic occurrence. The love feels like it's shut off. And then the child goes, my safety's at stake. but this is my mother God or this is my father God. I cannot make them wrong. Okay. So I have to make myself wrong to make sense of what just happened. I must have done something wrong. I must be wrong. And that's where guilt and shame comes from and all sorts of things.
Oh my God, Amira, you're freaking me out right now. Cause like my son, this is a sidebar, but he's 6. I have a 4 daughter, so hopefully will save her. But he's like lately he breaks down, he melts down. He's like, as soon as there's a no, he like turtles on the ground, he's crying and it doesn't make any sense to us. We're like, and I'm like trying not to get frustrated with all the crying. And I'm sure part of it's their cognitive development, understanding their emotions. Holy heck, man. I feel like I need to be a child psychiatrist to be a parent. Shoot.
In some ways it's true, but yeah, and best of luck with that. Right?
Yeah. This is good though. Keep going. I want to hear how I can be better.
Yeah. So, I mean, and there's a lot of things that you can do in the moment that's sort of beyond the scope of this conversation, but what happens for the child who then grows up is that then they have made this meaning. Like like for me, I wanted to play with my art and my toys and stare at my toes when I was a kid. I mean, I have a distinct memory of like sitting there playing with my toes and my mother being like, let's go, come on, it's school time. And we don't know what school is, right? We don't know why it's important to be there on time. And our parents are just trying to help us get along in society, right? Like grow up to be someone who can run a design business and get to their client on time, right? And not show up, 2 days later, right? But that always felt like I was being rushed and I didn't have any control over my time. I made it mean that I wasn't allowed to have time for myself.
Whoa, stop right there, because this really resonates. And I know if it resonates with me, it resonates with my listeners. Because I grew up in a household that was like rush, hustle. I absolutely never take time for myself. And even though I try, I'm like, why don't I do it? I don't even know. Like I make a conscious effort. I have to make a conscious effort because it doesn't come naturally.
Correct. Yes.
This is the brain exploding emoji happening right now.
And let's connect that to business. So if you think that you don't have time for yourself, then what happens? You're always going to be in the client delivery mode instead of working on your business, building the structures of your business, building the systems of your business. Okay. You're always going to be in reactive mode. You're always going to feel like you can't get ahead because your self-image says you are someone who doesn't deserve to have time. Okay. If she does, if she does take time, you're breaking a loyalty pact with your parents who said, this is how life is. We have to rush. We have to hustle all the time.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm in a therapy session right now. I love these episodes. This is why I love having a podcast. I get to meet so many interesting people. This really resonates with designers. I mean, one of my courses is called The Power of Process. And it's all about slowing down and setting your business up for success and creating like whatever your process looks like, mine 7 steps, so that like you can give yourself the time in between those steps to whatever it is, to design, to source, and that the client isn't running the show. You're running the show and they will be very grateful for it. But you need to take that time away from your business, like you just said, to work on your business. And sometimes, and what I see with a lot of my students is they're like, oh, I'm just so busy. I don't have time to work on my business. I don't have, and I get it because that used to be me. But what you're saying, if I hear correctly, is that we're not taking that time for our business or ourself because we've been trained from such a young age that is not okay, that is not allowed. Correct. But then as a result, it holds us back.
Correct. So here's the thing. You will always know what your self-image is by looking at your results. Your results tell you exactly how you see yourself. You will see yourself as worthy of time or unworthy of time. You will see yourself as worthy of raising your prices or not raising your prices, right? You will see yourself as worthy of having great team around you and, support staff who can really help you do your work in this world or not. Okay. And at every level, you need to, and I still do, I do this work all the time. I look at my results. If I'm staying at the same level for a period of time, whether it's in my business or in, say, my relationships, like I just did this 2 days ago. Okay. It was real time here. You know, I recognized a pattern in my romantic relationship. And I was like, oh, we're staying here. Look at that. And then I look at what's causing that, which of course is your self-image. And then I have to work on, well, who would I need to be in order to be someone who had the next level result that I desire?
I love that. Who would I need to be? You know what? It's so interesting to hear you say that. I thought I had it here. One day, a long time ago, I read some book and there was a quote and I wrote it on a piece of paper and I stuck it on my wall and I don't know where it went. And it was something along the lines of that, where, you know, who do I need to be today to be the best? If I was the best in the world at what I do, what would that look like? And basically, how can I be that person? The sentiment is like, wake up and behave and act the way that person that you want to be would behave.
Correct.
Right?
Yes.
Whether it's, for me, it's probably exercising because I don't do that. It's a really good reminder. So I'm like, oh my God. My husband's gonna be like, what's going on with you? I'll be like, I had this podcast guest and she said all these things and it's like an awakening. Okay. Sorry. Yes. So good. Who do you need to be?
Who do you need to be? And you need to keep upgrading that. It's not, you know, you need to be unstoppable around that. You need to keep recognizing like the level of truth, the lens of truth that you bring to yourself is it will directly impact the amount of success you can have in your life. However you define success, whether that is great relationships, great health, the money you make, the kind of projects you get to work on, like we can define success in a number of different ways. I happen to lead with helping people make a quantum leap in their business, right? Getting out of their own way so that they can make more money. But all of those follow-on effects happen as well. And it's directly related to how you see yourself and what you think is possible for yourself, and then changing your beliefs about who you are and the actions that you take. And in the beginning, it's going to feel like oil and water. Like when you go for that run or when you start exercising, feels great for a little while, right? Because you're like, okay, I'm doing it. I'm in integrity with myself. And then a few weeks later, you start like coming up with like reasons why you can't do it, right? The alibis start coming in. Oh, I need to take my kid somewhere. I need to do this for the client. I need to do this podcast. I need to, whatever it is. Okay. Something, it's too hot out. It's too cold out. I don't have clean clothes. I didn't wake up in time, right? You come up with some reason. This is your subconscious mind bringing you back to what is safe, which is to stay at the level that you've always been at yourself, where your self-image is. And it won't get you to agree with stopping with something that you don't believe in. It will get you to agree with stopping and going back to your set point by telling you something that you will believe in. Perfect one for women. This is challenging. I know this is going to trigger some people. Okay. Perfect one for women is, I can't do that. My kid needs me. My kid's sick. Okay. We'll drop everything. Okay. And that's true in a lot of ways, unless, you know, you had a meeting with the prime minister, would you drop everything for your kid? You'd get someone to take care of your kid, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well done, Prime Minister. I'm impressed.
Okay. I could you see?
You know your
could you
audience.
see the
Like,
little?
it's okay.
Yeah.
We have an American audience too.
Okay. I was
President,
like,
Prime Minister.
Prime Minister. Both starts with P.
Well done. You get 5 stars. It's like that idea of like, your body is, you're like a thermostat, right? And you will always reset yourself. Not always, but you have this natural tendency to, you want to push past your comfort level, right? Everyone says like, that's where the growth happens, when you push yourself past the comfort level. But then as soon as something gets too comfortable, without even consciously realizing it, your body resets back to what is comfortable. What is, whether it's your alibi, your excuse, or what is comfortable is, you know, I don't know, like say, like I did like the exercise thing, you know, what's comfortable for me is like staying in bed until I feel ready to wake up, not pushing myself up early, right? Even though I know on a conscious level that when I get up and I go for a walk or a run, wow, I have such a better day. But it's like my body is trying to protect me. It's this primal instinct that we have. We want to protect ourselves so that we don't get into trouble. We don't, you know, get eaten by a bear if we live in Canada, or I don't know what it is in the US, right? They have bears there too.
We have bears too, but
right?
not walking down the street, but
not walking down the street. A bear at my in-laws' cottage recently, and we were walking up to get the garbage. I was with my little, like she was 3 at the time, and I was like, oh, that's a bear. Let's turn around and go back inside.
Walk back slowly.
Of the day.
Yeah.
But anyway,
so your subconscious has one job. Your subconscious's job is to keep you alive. Okay, that's it. One job. And it's very binary about it, very black and white. So if you start going beyond your self-image, okay, when above your set point, if your set point is 65 degrees and you get to 75 or 80, it's going to kick into gear and bring you back down to size, because it doesn't think it's survivable for you to change, to become more, to do the next level thing. And so it brings you back down because it doesn't think that you're going to live. It's very binary about it. It actually thinks you're going to die. And it's not, there's no value judgment about what it's saying is you can do or can't do. It's just, have you done this before and survived it or not? And if you haven't, it won't let you execute on it. It will keep bringing you back. And this is why people either go very slowly and incrementally in their business, and they're wondering why I'm working so hard. I'm doing all the things, but I'm not getting ahead. This is why. Okay. This is,
I'm going to ask a question that, like, can you, like you said, people will do it slowly. Would that be like, can you slowly reset that? Like if you start to prove to yourself, okay, I pushed a little here, I pushed a little there. Can you reset that normal or that safe level? Or 100%. Are you always fighting against whatever is like a predetermined?
So there's a yes and a no to that. So fundamentally, you can change your self-image. Do you still have a core piece of that there that is that you're always at risk of being triggered back down to? Yes, I would not have hubris around it and say, like, flip your hair back and say, I've moved past that. That will never hook me again, because it's not true. Okay. Now you can live 98% of your life in a different way, but there's always a possibility. And there's 2 ways to change your subconscious programming, and it's constant spaced repetition and taking new action. And you need to do both. So what you mentioned was taking new action. So that means you got to do the hard thing that feels wrong. Okay. It will feel like oil in water. It will feel like discomfort. It will feel like I couldn't possibly say that. I couldn't possibly do that. Right. And yet, you know, that either your mentors told you to, or you know intellectually that is the right action to take. It's just scary. I have to say what to someone? How is that possible? And
oh my gosh, especially as a leader and a business owner, like the conversations that I need to have with my team, I'm like, do I have to hold them accountable for the thing that they ordered wrong? Like, I don't want to. That is so uncomfortable. But then after the conversation, no matter how it goes, well or bad, you're like, wow, I did that.
Yep.
Holy heck. Yeah.
And you become more than, you've moved past that barrier. And people call this the terror barrier, the thing that stops you. And it feels like terror. It feels very frightening to have that initial conversation. Or like, I don't know if you've ever had to fire someone, but the first time you have to fire someone, oh my God, what an emotional terror barrier. Or the first time you have to
honestly,
speak on stage, right?
Yeah, totally. And the first time I tried to, I was like, so you're right. It was total terror that I was going to fire this person. And then they came in with their letter of resignation. And I'm like, seriously? Part of me was so have to have the uncomfortable conversation, and that they did it, and there's different financial ramifications, right? So it was better that way. But the other part of me felt a little gypped because I was like, I was going to do this thing that I haven't ever done before because it was terrifying. Totally. Yeah.
And I will say, I'm going to take back my statement because the first 2 times I had to let someone go was not terrifying. It was like I was so clear in it. The third time though, it just didn't, it was hard because it wasn't, there was a really poor judgment decision that was, representative of lots of judgment stuff that was wrong, but she was fundamentally like great, and so that I feel like that's where the conflict came in for me, but you do it anyways.
So like right now, this is resonating with me on a more personal level. And I think a lot of people are going through this right now because we're kind of like coming out of this pandemic. Well, you guys are south of the border. We're still in it. But there's change happening in society, and people are moving houses and people are moving neighborhoods. And for me, my own terror barrier right now is that I live in a very small house with a great community in the sense that everyone is so super friendly. We've become best friends with our neighbors. The kids all play, together, but it's not where I envision my family long term because I want space. I want trees. I want a white picket fence, really, if I'm going to be honest. I'd like a pool-sized lot. And these are things that we can afford to do, but I'm terrified of making the wrong decision and moving away from this, what most people would say is an idyllic scenario, right? For something that's this bigger picture that I have for myself. Whereas intellectually, I'm like, this is the smart decision, but my self is like, I can't pull the trigger. Like I can't make the move because I'm afraid, because this is my status quo. This is my norm. This is where we're comfortable. So if anyone's listening, like this can apply to so many aspects of your life, right?
100%. Do you want to know what to do?
Yes. Tell me.
Move.
I thought you were going to say that.
But here's the thing, like the answer is so simple. And yet it's so terrifying. And it's a great example. But I've worked with so many women who are like, they live in the snowy northeast or Midwest of the United States. And like, they want to live in Florida. They want to live in the sun. And when we dig into what's stopping them, it's not that they can't afford it. Sometimes there's an up-leveling there. But there's parental issues. There's like, I'm going to lose my belonging. I'm going to lose my community, which is what you're talking about. What if it doesn't work and I'm screwed? Like there's the fear of making a mistake and risk. All of them have been happier. Okay. But you have to figure out what the gating factors are and start moving through those tactically, but you need to make a decision. So if you want to be a quick decider, which by the by is one of the key attributes of success, is being a quick decider.
That is my goal in life. I've always been indecisive. I'm getting better, but I see that like those are traits of very successful people. You make a decision, whether there's no right decision either. That's what I hear, right? It's just a decision. You're just making a choice and then you have to move forward with that choice.
Correct. So if you want to be that, you can do that right now. When are you moving? Like decide right now. Like, you want it. Does your husband want it too?
He's of the exact same. We're both paralyzed with the same fears. So yes.
Okay. So decide for the two of you. We're going to move by such and such a date. Okay? Yeah. What's the date?
I don't know. I just bought a property in the country. So now I'm feeling like I don't want to get too leveraged. And now that I'm using that as my excuse.
Totally. Well seen. Okay.
Oh my
that's
God.
Your excuse. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah. We're going to pick a date. I don't know. I got to think about it.
If you did know and you didn't have to think about it, when would you go?
I would do it before the next school year, but.
Okay. So there you go. When does the school year start?
In September.
Okay. So you're going to be moved by mid-August?
That's probably not realistic because that's 2 months away. So maybe that's not probable. Maybe next year.
maybe you look like what if it could happen in 2 months? Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
It could.
So here,
it could.
right? See, I just pushed her just a little bit, but this is, I talk about closing the gap on time, and all our self-image, our subconscious mind keeps us saying it can't happen till later. And I get it. You're busy. You're running a business, you have a family, all of that. But really it is just a decision. So if you decide you're moving by mid-August, that's 2 months, June, July, you call your mortgage broker today, you call your real estate agent, you go see things, you see what's possible. Your house could be there. You could have it at the end of this week and the financing could happen, and you could be moving in a month and a half. Okay.
Except my mortgage broker is my neighbor and my friend. That means I have to tell him.
Yeah, you
so
do.
many layers. Okay.
Yeah.
You're good.
But do you want it or do you not want it? Right. Like,
yeah.
And like, how long do you want to delay your good? Okay. And I'm not saying that. Here's a really big, important point, guys, because people misconstrue this all the time. And it's super, super important. It's not saying that what you have right now is bad.
Mm-hmm.
People often say, well, my life isn't bad right now. It's really good. Like they don't want to diminish their life, which is true. Don't diminish it. Like don't make it wrong, make it bad, make it lesser than. But also know that desire is causative. Desire is what calls you forward into your purpose. And we don't know what this new house looks like or where it is or what part it plays in you living out your purpose in this world. But it has a purpose because spirit, source, the universe, God, whatever you want to call that infinite energy, speaks to you through desire. It speaks to you through what you want. And if you give desire the big middle finger, like I'll do that next year or the year after, whenever I get around to it, or like I'm not going to face my mortgage broker neighbor because I'm afraid of what he's going to think about me or she's going to think about me, that's giving your purpose and spirit the big middle finger. And desire is what calls you forward. I don't know what the purpose of that house is, but it has a purpose. Okay.
Yeah.
Or
like I don't want to hurt other people's feelings. Or make other people sad or make them think that they're not good enough for me to live in their neighborhood. But so I will sacrifice what I want because I might upset somebody. Which is totally crazy.
Absolutely.
When I say it out loud.
Right. But are you going to change that? So the change happens by the awareness, changing your belief structure through constant spaced repetition. We don't have to talk about that, but taking new action. This conversation, I'm calling you forward. You have to take new action. You could hang up this interview, click the end button for the recording that we're doing. And the next thing you could do would be to call the mortgage broker next door. Okay. That would be, I know you're not seeing her face, but she just clamped up. She was like, no, you can't make me. Yeah. Right. Before you even talk to your husband. Okay. Like it's, hey, neighbor, I don't know if we're going to do this. I haven't talked to my husband, but I'd love to find out what the process is for getting a mortgage. What's the time horizon and how quickly could we do it if we wanted to move really quickly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh boy. Yeah. No. Yeah, you're right. I mean, shoot, I'm not going to say anything. It's just going to sound like I'm coming up with excuses. Now I'm on the spot. Oh my goodness.
Totally on the spot.
So when this podcast airs, I don't know when it'll be, but it's going to be a month from now or so. We might be looking at July, August. So maybe we'll have to add in a little update.
That would be fantastic. I'd love to know.
Or if you could go live with me on Instagram. I like to go live with my guests on Instagram the week that the podcast goes live so that we can
let's do it.
Yeah, like drum up excitement and everybody can kind of expand on the episode. You can ask me. You can drill me.
I will definitely. Definitely. Awesome. I love it.
Oh my God. Okay, we're running out of time. Such good conversation. I don't want us to finish without talking about something that you mentioned that keeps sticking with me, and I think we're kind of getting there. But this idea of how did you go from $138,000? Everyone's thinking this. To $700,000. Like, how did you make that quantum leap, as you call it? Because most people think slow and steady wins the race.
Yeah. And there is something to be said for slow and steady. There are a lot of things that I did slow and steady, right? There were things that I did consistently, things that I incrementally upgraded. But just like we used you as an example of this, you can close the gap on, like, there will be steady steps that you need to take to find the house, right? There will be steady things that you have to do. But if you can do those quickly and not say next week, but say when I hang up the podcast, right? Like just to use this as the analogy, if you do that in your business and you start doing the thing that's going to move your business along, you need to know what the things are, but you do the thing that's going to move your business along quickly, you can make amazing progress. Now, I did a few things that were very tactical. There's only 3 ways to make more money in your business. Let me just throw those out to you. One is raising your prices. One is selling more of what you already sell. Okay. More of your services or more of your products. And the third is adding a new channel of income. Everything goes into those 3 categories. And so you need to decide, and there's a math equation here. We just put out something called the scale plan, and maybe I can give that to you to put in the show notes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the way people can find it for sure is by going to our Facebook group, which is the Unstoppable. It's Be Unstoppable on Facebook. So the Facebook group is called Be Unstoppable, and it's in the resource section there. But we have this whole, it takes you through a whole process of getting clear on what you need to do to scale. And then it takes you through, we have a spreadsheet so you can do the math on it. I call it Making Love to the Numbers. And I walk you through that. There's an audio training on it, all of it. It's a great little, concise.
Yes, designers want all the help with numbers. So any kind of help you can give us. Making love to the numbers sounds like a crazy oxymoron. So I'm curious about that for sure.
Oh my God. I simplify. See, the way it works is you have to simplify it, and then you have to do it. And then you have to go, wow, I could reach my goal if I do this. Okay. You have to see the pathway. So anyways, there's 3 ways to make more money. I lay out how to look at this in the scale plan. That would be a great resource for people. When I made that quantum leap on a tactical level, I raised my prices and added a new channel of income. I did both. Okay. I didn't really sell like gazillion more things, services, but I sold at a higher price point and I added new channels of income. The only way I was able to execute on that was changing my self-image, changing how I saw myself, what I saw as possible for myself. Were there then steps to actually executing on this? Yes. I had to learn how to sell more effectively. Okay. I now teach sales because it was such a game changer for me. You don't have to become that sleazy car salesman. You don't have to sell something that's unethical. You don't have to be manipulative, but you do need to be someone who is able to have a real conversation with someone and hold what we started the conversation off with, hold your value in the conversation and not run away and be afraid to ask for the sale and ask really good questions so that you know that you're selling the person exactly what they want and need.
So good. And that's something that I know a lot of designers struggle with is the sales part. A lot of creatives they just want to create. And that really is something that I think will be a lot of value to talk more about. So I'm excited to see how you teach sales. Actually, I think that's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, if you want that conversation, I'm happy to come back. We can have a whole conversation on sales because it's such a, and again, it's that intersection, Rebecca, of the technical, like you need to know what to say. Okay. How to say it, what to say, there's like a strategy around it. Okay. Mm-hmm. But the inner game piece, that's what makes you either able to do it or not able to do it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. We're out of time. So
okay.
we can't leave without you telling everybody where they can find you.
Okay.
So please share where.
I love it. Thank you. So that Be Unstoppable Facebook group is a great resource. You can find me there. I'd love to see you. I'd love to hear what you have to say about this episode also. Please show up there. Like, I love that. Then we have our own podcast, which you can go to on any of the podcast platforms, wherever you listen. It's The Unstoppable Woman. And if you go to our website is theunstoppablewoman.com. And you can find our podcast there. And you can also get a ton of resources that we have. We have great downloads and resources to move through the mindset pieces and the tactical pieces. And we have something called our free stuff page. So if you go to theunstoppablewoman.com/free stuff, I highly recommend getting the Morning Mindset Club and the Income Breakthrough Jumpstart. Those are 2 resources there that are really super duper.
Awesome.
Good.
Everybody loves free stuff. Yeah. Thank you. We will link a lot of that in the show notes. Any last nugget of wisdom you'd like to share before we sign off today?
Yeah. So I would love to call people forward and remind them that what they desires them, and that they need to move forward towards it and figure out, be cognizant, be aware of what's stopping them from acting on their desires, and do whatever is necessary. Get the help you need, make the decision, go forward, and do what you need to do to stay unstoppable in the pursuit of your desires. It's how you are going to do your impact in this world and add to more life for everyone. But you can't be stopped by all those fears that are invisible. Okay, you have to go for it.
I love that message. This has been super inspirational. Thank you so much, Amira, for joining us today. I will follow up with you and let you know how things go. Thanks for the push.
I love it. I love it. Thanks for having me, Rebecca. This was fun.
Well, there you have it. That was good, eh? That was just really great, insightful conversation. Go to the show notes. You can get those freebies that she mentioned. I'm definitely going to download the scale plan. I think that sounds really helpful. I feel a little bit nervous about her trying to hold me accountable, if you will. She's good at that. She put me on the spot. Guys, I would love to hear from you. Can you send me a DM? Let me know. Or if you're in our Designer Meetup Facebook group, we'll link that in the show notes as well. Come to the Designer Meetup Facebook group. Let me know what you thought of this week's episode. What do you think about what's going on in my life? What do you think? Do you think I should move? I'm super curious. Anyways, I'm just feeling really amped and energized from that episode. I hope you guys are too. Enjoy the rest of your day. I hope it is beautiful. I'll see you soon.